Craziness. All right. Well, now that I think we fully saved daylight, we're going to kind of
Whoop, whoop.
start to get started here. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. I see some faces we've seen before, some faces I haven't seen in a while, some faces I might not have ever seen, but I'm also face blind, so that could be everybody. So I apologize if I'm wrong about that. My name is Leif. It rhymes with safe. Some people say it rhymes with chafe. Please don't. And it is my honor to present 1 Million Cups to everybody here. So what is 1 Million Cups? We'll get to that in a second. Just know that we do a lot of things based off of getting jacked up on caffeine. That's kind of the branding. As you can see, the little mug is in the 1 Million Cups logo. My mug is from the original Pancake House in Denver, Colorado. And we have a Facebook page, a social media account, and our best thing is to get our weekly emails. They're kind of fun and exciting. So you can see that link there, and they should be in the chat as well. So also mark your calendars. We're here at 9 a.m. every single week except for Christmas, New Year's, and when the pandemic started last year. Woo! So what are we here about? We're here to share ideas between entrepreneurs, people that are ideas in their head, they're trying to get out, offer help, ask for it when you don't know where you're going or what you're doing. And we're here to build community every week and to support each other in doing so. So yes, this is kind of a business meetup, but if you're pre-business or business curious or any other adjective around that, this is for you, right? So you don't have to have a company or any of that. You just need to be curious and want to show up and talk or even just listen. A big differentiator. So a lot of people or a lot of groups focus on a lot of pitching to investors, which is a very important, great part of business work. What we do a lot of is presentations. So we're not here to put on our ties and our nice shirts and go in front of investors necessarily. We're here to talk to our peers and our other business owners about our challenges or problems, what we're working on. So think presentations, not pitches. We're here also to connect, not necessarily who can get out the most business cards. And we're here by the community and supported by just all these great Seattle people and people from all around the country right now. Another point is we try to be intentionally inclusive about who joins in. A lot of people might not think they're entrepreneurs until they start trying it out. So we try to bring everybody in, even if they don't feel like they are. They might feel like they're too young or too old or too in this neighborhood versus that neighborhood. Doesn't matter. Come on in. And a little talk, this is a national group. So the Kauffman Foundation out of Kansas City, Missouri, this is, they kind of just give the goal of having small pockets of entrepreneurship all across the country is our goal, and we are one of those pockets. So there's 168 communities, probably more at this point, thousands of attendees, tons of volunteers. It's cool. It's a cool community. So if you don't get enough from today, you can go next week and wake up early and hit like all the different time zones, right, all along the way. Our three main pillars are education, presentations, and connections. So you might see different content every week. Sometimes we might have education in addition to a presentation, but it'll always be those kind of three different things. So that's what we're about. This is our space we used to present at South Lake Union in Seattle, Washington. Pardon me. And we hope to be back there soon. We've had thousands of people present their ideas before 1 Million Cups. Show of hands who's presented at 1 Million Cups before. I have, I think twice or so. Very cool. If you haven't and you want to, we'll talk about that later. So keep that in mind. We also have a couple sponsors. So Seattle Strong makes our coffee, which we used to give away. Free coffee was a cornerstone of 1 Million Cups events. So when we meet back in person again, come bring your mugs and get some great Seattle Strong coffee. Human Up sponsors our marketing campaign, and a small studio. It's our meetup page, all warm and toasty. Here are our cool volunteer peoples. We have 5 of them, and they make everything happen today and last week and the next week, and it's very cool working with all of them. And if you want to be cool too and work with us, you certainly can. We'll talk about that in a second. It's very rewarding. Get to practice doing certain businessy type activities. What to expect today. So like we said, this is 1 Million Cups. We're presenting, we're educating, connecting a little bit. Coffee conversation, we did a little bit of that before. We're all saving our daylight and all sorts of other anecdotes. And then we're gonna have a 6-minute entrepreneur presentation today. Very exciting. And then we're gonna grill them about their company. And we're not gonna grill them, maybe like a light broil. And we will ask them about their company, provide suggestions, feedback, questions, engage in dialogue. It's like the meat of the presentation, right? And then at the very end, we're going to do some breakout rooms, which is supposed to simulate like that after the presentation when everyone has coffee and they're mingling about and, you know, spreading the virus before we had that problem. So sit back and get your pad of paper down if you want to doodle and write down questions, and try to focus on being a supportive listener. Even if you don't feel comfortable asking questions during the Q&A, I challenge you to write down questions, because thinking about what you want to ask and talk to entrepreneurs about is kind of a big part of what this is about. So just challenge yourself. And if you don't feel comfortable saying it out loud, you can always type it in the chat. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And I'm going to put the raise feedback thing off for now. Whoops. Oh, spoilers. Okay. Well, today I'm going to bring to the stage Jolene, and she has a business not unlike a lot of other people who present at Women in Cups, which is solving a problem that she faced herself. So very common narrative, like hit this brick wall and you're like, oh, I wish this thing existed. Well, she's making it happen. So let's give her a little bit of an round of applause if we bring her to the virtual stage. And let's see if I can get my Zoom going here. So welcome, Jolene.
Thank you. I just want to say I did see the S from Daylight Savings on the "We Want You" for the help. I like that S. Do you know what I'm talking about on your slide? It says we on the volunteer slide. It says we want. There's an S at the end of want. I was like, there's your S. Might have been
me just being a little ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I love it. I love it. Okay. So I'm Jolene Stevens. I am the founder of Practically Magic. I'm going to give you a little bit of history, though, of how Practically Magic came about. So a long time ago, when I was in college, I started working for Walt Disney World in the capacity of an intern. And after college, I stayed with them in their sales department, and then got restless and moved on and moved into lots of different things. I moved to New York City, did a stint with a PR firm. I then moved to New Hampshire and helped launch the Segway in their marketing department, was part of an ad agency, got into industrial B2B businesses, and just did a lot of different things. And at the end, I was like, oh, I really love Disney. I want to go back and do the things that I love. So what I did was not start Practically Magic. I started Go Magic, which is a travel agency. And the travel agency, we sold Disney cruises, Disney vacations, Universal, and then the pandemic happened and we weren't selling vacations anymore. And like many businesses over this pandemic, I looked at my processes and I looked for where I could be more efficient. And one of the things that we do with my agency is we specialize in Disney, and we do oftentimes detailed itineraries for our guests. And I was doing them in Word, and they didn't look as sparkly and nice as I wanted, and they were really time consuming and very laborious. And I thought, you know, I need an itinerary tool. And so I looked around and I saw that, you know, there's definitely itinerary tools out there. There's some itinerary tools out there that looked kind of clunky and the product wasn't aesthetically pleasing to me. And there was other itinerary tools out there that were really great and really beautiful, but the price point was too high for many of the people that I work with. And I'll get into a little bit more of that a little bit later, but so I decided to find a developer, and we created Practically Magic. And so this is a web-based app that now I'm marketing to travel agents and travel agency owners. This is the product that comes out. You can see they can customize it with their logo. The great thing is all of the things that have times associated with it, any kind of reservation comes up here in a trip overview, and then the rest of their itinerary comes out and gives them a play-by-play of how they should approach the park. So the really great thing about this is I know this this is my gig. So I knew exactly how I wanted this to work. So I wanted an easy drag and drop. I wanted it to already have all the Disney content in there. I wanted it to have the Universal content in there. I knew that I wanted some really great features where if a guest decides to elongate their vacation, it makes it easy. Or if they shorten their vacation, that the app is going to say, hey, you had reservations on that day, you need to address this. So I try to make it really user friendly to the agent, because I know when doing this, things change, and that this needed to be able to be a really fluid tool. One of the other things that I created for them is they can also create their own content library. So if they send people off property to restaurants that I haven't input, because I'm not going to input every thing, they can do that. And it's super easy. They just need actually a little bit of information to get started, and really try to simplify things for them. So this is what the agent is going to see and interface with, and the PDF is what gets spits out and they give to their clients. So I wanted to talk about a little bit about kind of who my market is, because I talked about the expense of some of these other apps that are out there. So there's a really beautiful one out there, and it's $40 a month. And $40 a month is a tool that's reasonable if you are a professional travel agent and you have a consistent income. And just a little bit about our industry, we get paid on commission. And so if you are a professional and you're booking constantly, you've got a pretty consistent income. If you are a part-timer or if you're a hobbyist, and hobbyist, what I mean by hobbyist is you just love planning vacations. You love planning Disney vacations. And so you are going to sign up. You're going to do your own, maybe you're going to do your neighbors, maybe your family, and you're doing like 5 a year, compared to like the part-timer who's maybe booking about 20 or more a year, versus a professional that, you know, they're booking hundreds, 100 or more. And from that standpoint, when we talk about this, $40 a month isn't going to appeal to a part-time or a hobbyist, because their whole commission one month may be $200. So it just didn't make sense. So I wanted to create a tool that maybe wasn't as feature rich as what was in the market, but was going to really supply them with something that was professional, that was easy to use at a much lower price point, which eventually it will be $15 a month. Right now, I'm giving a couple of discounts for COVID, since our industry is still coming out of it. And also it being a kind of 1.0, not, you know, we're still got maybe some bumps going on. And so the future, as I'm going through, there's still tons of features that I want to add. It's not done. We launched in January, but there's certainly things that I'm getting feedback on, which are great, things that like are right in line with the things that I was going towards anyway. So it's continued to be developed. I'm considering a mobile app. I don't know if this is necessary or not, but it's just definitely on my radar as something possible. It really depends on the demand from the clients and the agents, my clients, and then their clients. And then long-term, adding a consumer model that's not a subscription based, but maybe a one-time use, where I supply a canned itinerary that is focused on that particular type of family, couple, whatever it is. And that is it. How did I do on time?
Seeing as I didn't time it, you did very, very well.
Okay, good.
I was too engaged in your.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Sorry, I was paying a lot of attention. Well, thank you, Jolene. Now this means that we get to ask your questions. So if you have a question, you have a couple options here. You can raise your hand with the Zoom by going to the reactions tab, and there's a raise hand button, or you can type something in the chat, or you can try to raise your hand and we'll try to see you. So I'll stop talking and I'll jump into the first question here from, looks like Tracy.
So is this just Disney World?
So right now it has Disney World and Orlando Universal in there. It does not have Disneyland yet. Disneyland's not open. Once Disneyland opens back up, we'll put Disneyland in there, and we'll also put Universal Hollywood in there. Long term, we'll add New York, we'll add San Francisco, we'll add those cities. But right now, because I'm in this niche, I know this niche, and this was like the entry point. But yeah, eventually we'll put other cities in there.
Another question, or should I let someone else go?
No, go. Well, never mind. I'm not moderating.
Okay. How are you reaching travel agents?
So I'm in it because I own a travel agency. I'm in the forum. So when people are asking, hey, what are you guys using for itinerary software at this time? I'm like, well, actually, I just created this tool. I think, eventually there will be other ways that I target them on Facebook and that sort of stuff. I'm rolling out slowly just because I want to make sure that all the hiccups are covered as much as I can in the first couple of months. And then when I hit, there's lots of, I'm in the trade organization. So I'll probably start doing, once the trade events start coming back. But with Facebook ads, a lot of the people that I'm in are in similar groups, and so I can match the avatars.
I have a list of 7 people that I'm highly connected to.
Please. Okay.
So I need to get your contact.
Yes, please. Thanks.
Yeah.
I can use any help. Absolutely. Thank you.
Just make sure to drop your address, Jolene, in the chat sometime.
Yeah.
And then I think next up was Eric. And then just a quick reminder, we'll do one question first. And if you have a second one, you can come back for seconds. We'll do buffet style.
Okay, great. This, I'm counting this as a pre-question. Jolene, are you in Seattle or are you still in Orlando?
No. I'm in Seattle now.
Okay. Well, when you come back for fact-finding trips, let me know. And those are tax write-offable, but we'll hang out.
Okay. I think I'm coming in May or June, so I'll connect with you.
Okay. My actual question was, or I guess it was an encouragement, was to have the mobile app, because I know when my family and I were Disney pass holders, we would make reservations on their app.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, where are we going next? And we just check out the app. So, none of us wanted to carry paper, especially if we were there in May when it starts to get hot,
Mm-hmm.
or October when it's still hot.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to carry just shit in their pockets. And
Yep.
so, the phone is enough. So having that mobile access would be extremely convenient, I think, for travelers. So I would encourage you to do that.
Thanks for the feedback.
All right. I think I saw Nick was next in line.
Hey, first of all, good presentation, good stuff. It's cool to see that kind of coming together. So what I wanted to ask was about the consumer model you were trying to explore as a next step here. You were talking about having canned, kind of itinerary trips planned. What would that kind of stuff be based on? How would you determine?
So what's the breakout? So for example, right now, as somebody who makes these itineraries, the itineraries that I make for families that have kids under 5 are very different than the roller coaster or the thrill ride focused, versus if it's a couple, where I'm sending them, the restaurants that I'm recommending, the type of activities that I'm recommending is very different. So it would be it would be for itinerary for young kids, thrill seeker, and then adult food and wine appreciation kind of things. So I'm segmenting. Did that answer your question?
It does, yeah. I was thinking if this is like an app and it can, do some of the basic stuff, like say you've got a, kind of like a form kind of thing where it's ask 10 or maybe 20 questions, and you could kind of help sort people by slightly more granular things where you're just serving from a table or whatever, that's what the back end would be like. So it could, rule out certain kinds of food or restaurants. It could, I don't know, I've got kids who are yay old, but they're, too scared to go in a haunted house or, whatever, all that.
Yeah, that's very similar to what we do now. Like for me as a travel agent, that's the type of form that we use right now. So it totally, you're right on, like exactly. So yeah, you send that out, you get that, and then what the great thing is that, you code it well, and then it starts spitting it out for you, where I'm just using my mental expertise right now.
Right. Yeah. You would want to scale that if it's the consumer side, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
Cool.
Great idea. Yeah.
Cool. Looking forward to seeing more. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nick. I think we got Brian was next in line, and then I'll be followed by Ryan.
Yeah, just curious about the technology adoption rate of your target audience. Are they pretty much easy to take on new things, or do you have things to be able to offset? Hey, let me walk you through this new thing.
That's a great question. I know that for me, the agents that I have, it's a wide variety of abilities when it comes to the technical. And that's one of the reasons why, for me, the simplicity of this needed to be as easy as possible. That this drag and drop, you've got the search bar, you type in what you're looking for, you drag it in, and that's it. Now, there are certain things where, things that I thought were probably obvious are not obvious. And so I'm in that learning process right now of getting that feedback of people asking questions and being like, oh, wow, this isn't, that's not obvious to them. But so, yeah, it's a very wide variety of people. I would not say that this industry tends to be one or the other. I think it's kind of smack, in the middle.
Yeah, you might just consider a complimentary offer then to walk through that, or especially when they want to add, that could be a good add-on.
Yeah, that's actually, so I set up active campaign. I don't know if you guys, the email. So anytime I get a new user, an email goes out that one shows them a demo that I did on, YouTube. And then it also has the option to schedule a personalized demonstration with me, because yes, I'm totally with you, Brian. Not everybody is going to get it on the first go around.
Wonderful. Okay, we're going to sneak on to Ryan. We got a lot of questions here. Jolene's thing is very enticing, apparently.
Awesome presentation there, Jolene.
Thank you.
I don't think I've seen anyone run a video that was having a mouse click through stuff before while waving both hands. So I knew it was hands on there. I wanted to ask what other potential markets there are for licensing or selling this out to other itinerary planners other than vacation itineraries. Is there a larger, more scalable market, more leads to go after in other itinerary spaces? That's all.
So this morning, because I got rescheduled in Twin Cities this morning. So I did it, and they actually had the great idea of event planners who do corporate events. And so from that standpoint, I used to do corporate events, and this is a easy crossover to that. Totally. As far as other things, the other thing that this is really applicable for, and this next part of it could be applicable, I think, to even more, which is quoting. So that's the other thing that a lot of people want, really beautiful quotes to send to their clients. And if you start setting that up, then quotes for whatever services could be an easy crossover. That I feel like that's maybe a harder sell, only because I think that Canva does I do quotes right now in Canva, and they're beautiful. And so that one, I think it would be harder to offer something new for people to come in, but event planners, corporate event planners, that sort of thing, possibly.
Wonderful. Thanks. I'm going to sneak in my question now. Jolene, I'm going to actually have feedback to say, I think maybe no app. And the reason I think that no app is, what are the benefits? Usually there's interactability with an app, and you have to, but for you, it seems like you're sending information to the person, right? You just here's your information. Oh, can we change that? Sure. Here's your information updated. So for me, what the horror story I think in my head is oh, the app kicks you out because it's kind of new and kind of lame and new development, and it's hard to use, and it's always erroring out because there's no signal. And what I would say is maybe focus your energy on getting beautifully formatted HTML emails that come into their things, so that here's your itinerary. It's on mobile format email, and it's beautiful, and it's cached to your phone, and your email service always works because it just is. And to think about that mindset.
No, thank you for saying that. That's one of the things, right now it comes into a PDF. And so it's one of those things that somebody could, you can save it to your mobile. But the next step, I think that the easiest step right now would be to do the HTML link. And that's, then that can be pulled up anywhere. So, and that one's easier to implement than to build out the app.
Right. All right. So we got next question here is Katie, it looks like.
Yay. I just have to say, I don't know if you saw my expression while you were presenting when your demo came up, but I was just like, because it just looks so good. And the fact that you can drag and drop stuff, I think that's a really powerful little demo you've got in there. And so I just want to say kudos. Clearly you've put a lot of work into this whole thing.
My developer, it goes to my developer.
But you were the shepherd of that, right? It was your vision. You made sure that it got built to what you were looking for. Sounds like you found the right person, right? Yeah, and I love Leif. I didn't really have an idea, but now what Leif said, I think it'd be really cool if there was, even if the consumer didn't have a direct interface with your product, if the travel agent or travel service had the option to say, send my client alerts every day, or there's a lot of things with text updates now, right? Maybe I want to say, text my client for any of the reservations, right? Text them an hour before their reservation, right? That would be a really great service that the travel agent could still help to shape, right? Because it's all about that travel agent client experience. And so that could be a way that you could bump up your service for your travel agents that gets the consumer what they need to.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks. That's a great idea. I love that. And you're hitting on another touch point, which is a reminder to the client of hey, my agent is awesome. And that's part of what we're always trying to convey is hey, we're worth something.
Totally.
We're providing value.
Yep, exactly.
Thanks, Katie. I think we got Tiara next, and that'll be followed by Jay.
Hi there. I loved the presentation, of course. It was really, really good. I'm curious, what are some other challenges that you've had when bringing this to life? I think you mentioned a couple, maybe user experience that you're still straightening out. Were there any other challenges that kind of stood out for you?
Yes. So my developer who came to me because the universe was in my favor that day and we worked so well together, he is taking a full-time job. And so the biggest challenge is finding another developer that we connect and that gets it. And so yes, the developer standpoint. And now actually, I think the other kind of hurdle is that, the next generation of features it's not a full-time job. I can't hire a full-time person. And then also the support, which there will inevitably be things that break or don't work correctly. That's also not a full-time job yet because I don't have enough users using it. And so to find a really great person that we're going to jive and is going to help me with that support, that's challenging. I think that, overall though, this was a unbelievably smooth kind of process from front to back to back. And the kind of user feedback right now, I think, for the most part, it's been easy fixes kind of stuff. Or user error of oh no, you just do this. And they're I got it done. And that part of it though, I think is going to be true for any kind of new app. Unless you're based on something completely similar that the user has used and they know how to use it. But yeah, that part of it, I think right now, the other issue is my ideas are too much for my budget. I don't have enough money coming in to make it what I want immediately. And I want it to be better. So that's the other, yeah.
That's super helpful. So that brings me to like funding wise. Has it just been, personal savings and such?
Yeah, so I took all I took all my profits from Practically Magic in 2019 and I put it into this. So yeah, currently it's been self-funded.
That's
I
awesome.
yeah, I'm just fortunate that funds could do that. Yeah.
Totally. Thank you, Jolene.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tiara. And I've got Jay. I think that was followed by Evan.
Thank you. Hi, nice presentation. Thank you for sharing all of your things. My comments are going to risk adding to your list because so I preface that with like, this could take you off track of your mission. So like, please, add this to the bottom of the list or somewhere else. But when my family or some of my family went on a vacation to Europe and I was not with them, that living vicariously was part of they did use a travel agent and they set up some kind of itinerary and I was following along. But I just think about that, as you create that consumer one, think about that other audience of grandma and grandpa or whoever is watching the dogs or those folks, and how they might be how the people who are traveling might opt into share those experiences as they're happening with those other people, because I think there is a connection with that people want to make with folks back at home while they're traveling and sharing those experiences more widely. So
yeah, no, that's a super interesting. I like this idea of vicarious traveler, and that's a great idea. Yeah.
I just like we do that, you see people doing that through Facebook. You see people doing that, and I think there's definitely a trend there of people wanting to share that experience and people interact with that. And so if you can integrate elements of that, it also is marketing for you, because you then have other people who are like, "Ooh, that was cool! Like we got to when we go on vacation, we should do that same thing." And so there could be an element of that too.
Yeah. Okay. Love that. Great idea.
Thank you. Great idea, Jay. And we've got Evan followed by Tessa.
Hi. It's beautiful. It's a nice work. And my questions are kind of along the lines of like, what is your goal for the business and how big and things like that? And just to add to that is like, my comment, I guess, is that competing on price is generally not a good idea. And so just kind of curious what your other competitive advantages are for the long run.
Yeah, no, I think it's an excellent point. I think the idea of competing on price, you can't do it. And the big differentiator for my niche right now is that the other itinerary tools don't have the Disney library in them. And the Disney library is thousands of entries, or 1,000 entries, I will say. And so to manually put that in to the tool is super laborious. And so that's the differentiator right now of what I can offer. So the lower price point and that. Now, my feature, I don't have the same features as a lot of the other ones, that there's a itinerary tool that has weather that gets pulled in, and I don't have that, And so I think when we talk about those sort of things, I also, again, Disney is a very niche sort of thing. And you have a huge chunk of people who only sell Disney because they don't know Europe. They don't know the Caribbean. And so from that standpoint, that is the niche that I'm going after right now. As far as long-term growth, I think that, adding on, if you want the West Coast, you can pay another $5 a month. If you want the East Coast or whatever it is, those sort of things get added on. Also, again, with the quotes, adding quotes on, that would be a package that you could add on. And as far as goals, as far as how I don't know. I have a goal that is fairly modest as far as, you know, in the next 2 years where I would like it to see it hit. And that can be well established within that niche. If once I start doing the other cities, then that opens up to a larger, but I think it's hard right now competing with the bigger ones and keeping the price point down. I'm not trying to compete with some of the bigger ones. So, I mean, really part of this was I had the time and I had this budget and I knew I could build a tool for my team that I could use for years. And then it was like, and I could market it to other people. So the idea wasn't to reinvent, you know, itinerary planning. It was very niche focused. Did I answer your question?
I was just curious if you thought about it and what your plan was, because you had mentioned price and I was concerned, but sounds like you've thought through it and that's kind of good.
No, but I think the price point, I mean, I had a friend who when I said, you know, this other app is charging, you know, 35, 40 bucks a month. And I was like, and it's too much. And she's like, it's not too much if they're paying it. And I'm like, it's so true. But there's so many people who aren't paying it. And that's my market. Yeah.
Great conversation about pricing, everybody. We've got Tessa followed up by Sarah, who virtually has her hand raised up, and then we'll do Katie.
Hi Jolene, love it, love it, love it. So excited to have you talking on this part, being the presenter. Stoked. I love that you are thinking about hobbyists, and I know you're like a massive advocate of TikTok, like and so like that's where, you know, hobbyists hang out, right? They share their passion. And I was just thinking about I had a terrible idea, so I'm going to say it out loud so we can say that's a terrible idea, and then where that took me. So the terrible idea was, oh, you're doing Disney. You said that, like, you know, you can like make other itineraries, like, you know, just of your own, like add your own restaurants, add your own blah blah blah. And then I was thinking, you know, these hobbyists, maybe they come through the door with the Disney template, the Disney stuff, but then you might have like templates that just like are, you know, you click on it and it just like pre-populates like here, breakfast, lunch, blah blah, and then like little reminders like tickets question mark, like whatever, like just all those drag and drops that are just like, do you need to transport from A to B? And so like have like a template that can enter so people like can start, oh well, I went to Disneyland and I did all this and like, you know, I know this is for right now for travel agents. So, but like if you're trying to like, because I know you're talking a little bit about maybe about the consumer to consumer side, business to consumer side, that like that could be a way to be like, oh wait, we managed to do the Disney side of things and we really love that. And like I've always wanted to go to Europe, and oh look how easy it is. If I just like drag and drop, I can create it myself. I can put in all those like recommendations that my friends told me about, and then like just put them in where it works. And so I was like, maybe that template idea might be but then I was like, okay, obviously too much now, because like you want to be like focusing, niching. So that my template idea took me to, where did it take me? No, that's pretty much where it took me, to templates.
And I think that is definitely a market. There is definitely a market out there for that. I think there's definitely a market in the travel agent world for that, because they do. I know travel agents who currently purchase pre-populated plans through other websites that I think are not very good. And I mean, some of them are good, but some of them are not good, you know, and it depends on the source. But so, yeah, you're right on it, Tessa.
Okay, sorry, and that's where it did take me. So I was just thinking, like, hobbyists, I pay a lot of money to do hobby things, like lots of money. If I have the money, I pay lots of people put like their, you know, they're at like hardware store, like, or their craft store, like puking hundreds of dollars a week. And I was thinking, if you're like, if these people are passionate and you're sort of trying to appeal to that area, like at that price point, maybe thinking about what are the things that would just be super special for a Disney passionate lover going there, like just cherry, like the things that no one else has thought of, that's just like, it's that one thing that makes the $15, $20 all worth it, because like no other app does it, and it really touches their like stoke about what makes them happy about Disney World. I don't know what that is, because I have not even, Disney World has not crossed my mind in my life, but maybe that, I know you probably have thought about that, but like sometimes I swear to God, I will buy and pay for something just because they nailed just this one tiny aspect that no one else sees.
Yep.
So that was just a thought.
No, that's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Tessa. We've got Sarah coming up next.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey. So first of all, I think you've really got something really great here that has huge potential. Obviously with the Disney, and then the potential to scale it out to other itinerary things we talked about. But I wanted to go back to something that Nick said earlier, where he was talking about making it scalable, whether that's direct to consumer or even for the travel agents. And I was thinking about the different data that you're using, and you've got obviously the richness of being able to you've got your Disney library with all of the different restaurants and rides and what have you, and then you've got the bit where you're really adding value is tagging those things essentially, and then being able to pull them out. And the more you can automate these things, the better. Yep. And I suppose, I'm sorry, I was sort of thinking aloud, I was having a look, and I was just wondering, have you done much work around looking at, things like APIs that you could use? Do they have APIs? Are there any ways you can really automate this process as much as possible?
Disney is not great. I bet you I haven't looked into Universal, and I bet you Universal would play much better with me than Disney would. I work with Disney, obviously, because I own a travel agency. Like I have this relationship with Disney from a travel agency side of things. And I mean, it's there. I can't even use the word Disney in an email without getting it approved. And I'm not joking. Like I quite literally cannot send an email that has Disney in it without their approval for marketing purposes. Yeah. So playing with Disney, and this is like, and this is actually one of the reasons why I do not have my app currently does not have the ability to upload photos, because I need to figure out how to make sure from a copyright standpoint that there's no trouble. And it may never, but I think it will. No, I shouldn't say that. It will eventually. It's not necessary right now, but yeah, I bet you, but Universal possibly.
And what I was going to say is, it sounds like it sounds like the ways to get around some of these problems would have costs attached. For example, if you needed photos, you might actually literally have to get someone to go and take a load of photos, and you don't really want to take 800 photos of 800 different things. So at least you own the copyright, but there's an enormous cost attached to that.
Well, I think I would allow, people would use their own photos. And what I'm trying to figure out is if I can do there's photos that I have access to as a owner, and I'm wondering if there's a way to, from a legal standpoint, say I have access to this, you have access to this, so it's okay, kind of thing. But that's a long way down the road, because that is a very sticky place.
I'm going to send you a private message so I don't hog them all in time.
Well, thanks for that, Sarah. You have 2 more hands up, but I don't think we'll get to excuse me, won't be able to get to them right now, but that's okay. It's part of the plan is to have more questions than time, and then we can engage directly with Jolene. We can email her. We can chat with her on AIM or ICQ. So what we're going to do next is we're going to finish up a little bit here, so we get into our breakout rooms. Really interesting questions, everybody. Great job for all those written and spoken and said questions. And I'm going to pull up my screen here really quick.
Jolene, there's just a lot going on in the chat that you should download and parse.
Yeah, downloading the chat will be a great idea. And could you also throw your email address in there, Jolene, if you haven't yet?
Already in there.
Oh,
yeah, it's
I
hello@practicallymagic.co.
love that.
How do I download the chat?
Katie knows.
Okay.
So there's a little dot, dot, dot next to that
Yep.
to everyone or to whoever you're talking to. And you click on that and it says save chat.
Thank
If
you.
anyone's got some last minute suggestions or things they want to throw in there before
It does
Jolene
not.
saves it.
It does not say that. So
We'll email it to you, Jolene.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
Okay.
always get it saved.
Yeah. We'll
Okay.
send it to
Thank you.
So what can the 1 Million Cups community do for you, Jolene? This is our big question we ask everybody.
Well, first of all, I thank you so much. These questions and the feedback is like awesome. So thank you. You've done a ton of, if you know a great developer who knows Rails and React, please send them my way. And yeah, I mean, if you know anybody that you need to connect me with because they would love this or they want to use it for a different thing and maybe there's another spin-off, please let me know. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jolene. And what can you do for the 1 Million Cups community? Speaking to all 15, 16 people we have on this call. Pretty sure you guessed it. It's you can bring a friend or an enemy next week. Turn them into a friend by showing them how cool you are and your inside scoop on the coolest clubs in Seattle. I guess this is a club. And meet another entrepreneur next week. I don't know if the slide was turned on. So if you would like to present and you want to be just like Jolene and talk about your story and get all these great ideas flowing through your head, you can present. And if you've already presented, you can present again, because guess what? You've probably changed a lot about your business in the last 5, 10, 6, 12 months. All you need is to be trying something new. You don't have to have your business ready to go. It doesn't have to be working yet. It just can be your idea that you're working on. You need to be open to feedback and asking for help. And if you'd like to learn about your business by doing it, you are set. So even if you're on the fence, just go ahead and apply. We're not going to throw you immediately into the schedule. We'll talk to you and see how everything's going. So yeah, there's your thing, 1millioncups.com/Seattle. Okay. And if you are maybe interested in getting involved, giving out a bit of volunteer time to keep this community thriving, you can email us at that email address right there, or just chat to us, or however you would like to find us. Which leads us tidily to our breakout room for the last 10 minutes here. So these are just a place to connect 1-on-2, 1-on-3. You can turn on a video if you have it. You can continue your conversation, or maybe talk a little bit more about Jolene's idea and like what you're thinking and what would you do if you were in her shoes and you're trying to grow this. If you don't have anything to talk about and you're not sure and you're a little nervous, like I get sometimes, your prompt today can be, where do you hope to travel in the next months or years? Because everyone's thinking about travel because of this presentation, and Disney and Universal and whatever all these cool places are that Disney does. So that's the shtick we have here. I'm going to stop this share and we're going to get some breakout rooms breaking out. So